let the chaos continue. Hi everyone, my name is Brittany from Brittany Loves Reading, and today I'm coming to you with episode 2 of the Title Chain Project. I will link episode 1 above if you want to go check that out. But basically, this was my idea to see how far I can go with reading books based off the titles of the previous book. So whatever the last word in the title of the book that I just read has to be the first word in the next title. And so on and so forth until I can't go any further. I did the first episode last month. I had a great time with it. And the last book we read was You, Me, and Other People, which meant that I needed a book that started with the word people. I asked in the comments for recommendations. I had a book in mind, and basically every recommendation was the book I had in mind, and that was Emily Henry's People We Meet on Vacation. So that is what we're going to start this title chain off with this time. We are going to read 3 books and see where we end up based off the first and last words in the title. This book follows Alex and Poppy. Alex and Poppy are best friends, but live very far away from each other. Alex lives in their hometown and Poppy lives in New York. Every year during the summer, they go on vacation together to catch up, have a good time, and kind of reconnect with their friendship until 2 years ago. Something happened on their vacation that has put a rift in their friendship, and they really haven't spoken or been around each other since. Poppy has decided that this needs to be fixed, and they are going to go on one final vacation to see if they can fix what happened 2 years ago. I'm going to jump right into this. I don't think it's going to take me very long because Emily Henry's books tend to read very quickly, and I will check back in with you with my thoughts once I've read some of this book. And then we'll get to what I think might be a challenge of finding a book that starts with the word vacation. So excited to see how this title chain goes, to be honest, because I think we're starting out with quite the challenge. I finished People We Meet on Vacation, and I'm going to give this 3 stars. Unfortunately, the story just was middle of the road for me, and I think I might have to just give up on Emily Henry. This is my second Emily Henry, and it's my second 3-star, and I'm wondering if realistically it's just the way the story is told. That just doesn't work for me. And that's okay. Not every writer is for every person, and some writing styles just don't work with what you personally enjoy, and I think that might be the case with Emily Henry. This book is constantly switching timelines between past vacations of Poppy and Alex and the current one they are on to kind of like fill in how their relationship with each other has always been, as well as their relationships with other partners, and how also their friendship kind of maybe got in the way with relationships with other partners. The best part of this book was the banter between Alex and Poppy. They are both very sarcastic and funny, and together they bring out that sarcasm and fun in their banter, and their banter is the best part of this book by far. The problem I kept having with the book was because we kept jumping back and forth between past summers and current summers, sometimes I would forget what timeline I was in, and I'd have to like quickly jog my memory. And I'm not sure why that was. Maybe because it just felt very similar. Like the past timelines really had the same vibes of the current one, and they started to all kind of blend together for me to some extent, unless there was someone else on the vacation with them. There are times where in the past they had other people on the vacation with them, so it was easier to kind of delineate what timeline I was in. There were times where the timelines just started to kind of converge in my mind, and I was getting a little bit discombobulated with that. I also felt that for people who are really great friends and have such great banter, the miscommunication in the end really didn't make sense to me. Even the miscommunication that happened 2 years ago to make them like not become friends just didn't ring true to me, and I'm not a big miscommunication lover in a romance, so that just wasn't my favorite. Other than that, I did have a good time reading this, and like I said, it's still a 3-star book. A 3-star book is still a good book, and I'm still glad that I read it, but this is the second Emily Henry that's given me a 3-star, so I'm just wondering if the writing style is just never going to be something that I super connect with. That being said, that is the first book of our title chain and leaves us with the word vacation. So I scoured Goodreads because I owned nothing that started with the word vacation, and I found Vacation to Hell, which is a short story collection by 5 various authors writing short stories about visits to hell. And that is what we are going to read. I have it on my Kindle, I have the audio through Scribd, and that is what we're gonna read. We're gonna read 5 short stories through hell. I'm actually really excited to be doing a short story collection. It's something that I want to get more into. I don't read a lot of short story collections, and I want to start reading more of them. So I'm really glad this ended up working out for this project. There's, I believe, 5 authors, 5 short stories. I'm assuming that's how it works out. The audiobook is not very long, so that seems to be what I think is going on here. I don't think this is going to take me very long to read, so I am going to go read these stories through hell. I will let you know more about them when I get back, because obviously with a short story collection, the synopsis doesn't really say anything because each story is its own story. So there's 5 synopses. So I'll come back, let you know maybe what my favorite short story was, which author I enjoyed their short story most, and give my overall rating on the whole work as a collective 5 stories. This is gonna be a pretty quick vlog clip because I finished Vacations from Hell, but honestly, there's really not much to say about this short story collection. These are very YA short stories, which is not a huge deal, but honestly, they were very just mediocre. And it was only like a 4-hour audiobook, so there's not much to talk about other than that they were just very average vampire and witch stories. There was really nothing new brought to the table. And I think fairly quickly I could forget these stories and kind of forget that I ever read any of them. There was nothing that really stuck out to me. The only story that I really actually enjoyed was Maureen Johnson's story. Maureen Johnson's story was different. It wasn't about vampires or witches. It was kind of out of the box. It was about a story that basically, if you hear the entire story, it turns you into a murderer. And we follow 2 sisters who are finding out about this story, and did they hear the whole story? Are they gonna get infected by this murder gene from the story, or are they not? It was kind of interesting, and it was different from the other stories, but really there was nothing in the other stories that I really enjoyed or was interested in, and I was mostly bored for most of these stories. I'm very sad to say that because I wanted to really have a good time with this short story collection, and it just didn't hit for me. I ended up giving the collection 2 stars in total because, like I said, there wasn't much that was interesting, and I really think I'm gonna forget about basically the whole thing fairly quickly. That being said, we need to pick our last book for this episode of Title Chain, and we need a book that starts with hell. And I know exactly which book I'm going to pick for this, and I think we're gonna end this vlog on a super, super high note with the sequel to Ninth House. I have to read Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. I read Ninth House about a month and a half ago now and absolutely adored it. 5 stars, could not get enough, loved it. It follows Alex, or Galaxy Stern, and Alex Stern is a person who has been initiated into the 9th house at Yale. The 9th house oversees all the secret societies at Yale and makes sure they are not using their magic in ways that they are not supposed to. There are multiple houses at Yale and secret societies at Yale that have very different kinds of magic. The first book ends on quite a good cliffhanger, and I was very excited that Hellbent was already out and I could jump right into this book, and it works out perfect because I need a book that starts with hell. So here we go. I am very excited to read this book. Like I said, 5-starred 9th house, absolutely adored the book. And I've heard from multiple people that this one's even better. So even though the rest of these books in this vlog haven't been great, we've had a 3-star and a 2-star, not the best outcome we want from a vlog, I expect that we are ending on a super high note with Hellbent. I am so thankful that we got this book in this vlog because up until Hellbent, this vlog was not going well. We had a 3-star and a 2-star, And I was like, this title chain project vlog is going to suck. This is not a good vlog. It's just me kind of being mediocre and or complaining about books. Like that's not what we want. We want good books in the vlogs. But that's not how the title chain was going up until Hellbent. But Hellbent is the savior of this vlog at a 5-star read. And frankly, very much a possibility for a contender of books of the year. This was fantastic. And I said that about Ninth House when I read it. I adored Ninth House. I went on and on and on and on about Ninth House. I cannot tell you anything that happens in this book because it would completely spoil Ninth House because Ninth House ends on a cliffhanger. So I can't tell you anything about this book, but I can tell you about my experience of the book. So that's what I'm going to do. I adored Ninth House. I have gone on and on and on about Ninth House. I gave Ninth House 5 stars. This was better than Ninth House. This was absolutely excellent. The first part of this book is great. I was enjoying my time with it. I was enjoying to see how they were going to kind of continue from the cliffhanger that we left Ninth House on. And I was interested to see kind of this group that Alex was pulling together to work on solving the problem that I'm not going to talk about because it would spoil Ninth House. But anyway, to work on solving a problem. I was all in. I was following. I was having a great time. They were meeting ghosts and monsters. That's not a spoiler because that's just like part of the book. They were supervising Yale society things. That was great. I was having a great time. I was like, this is great. This is exactly what I was expecting. Loved it. Great. We got to the end of part 1, start of part 2, and everything came together of what was going on, and I had seen none of it coming. Absolutely none of it. I had not suspected. There was an aspect of this book that I knew was a part of it, but it was such a small part, and we kept kind of, so many other things were happening that you'd forget that this thing was over here happening. So when everything became all intertwined, I didn't see how all the threads connected until they did. I didn't see it. I didn't see the connections. So when the connections happened, I just had to sit there with it. And I just had to sit there with it. And I just sat and I held the book and processed how I was feeling. And I just knew that I was like loving this book and that this was probably going to be a best book of the year because of my experience and also how well this was written. Like it was written so well. It was written so well because not only did you not see everything and didn't see all the threads connecting it, but like there was no logical reason they couldn't connect it. Like the logic for this world was there, the world building was there, everything was there and on point. And the more you learned about it, the more it made sense. But like you would have never put it together yourself, in my opinion. Like top tier. This is top tier dark academia fantasy, and I absolutely love it. Cannot wait for the 3rd book to come out. As of right now, it's untitled with no release date, so that is sad and devastating because I need to know what happens because, again, we leave slightly on a cliffhanger. Not as big of a cliffhanger as Ninth House, but still a cliffhanger. So that's a thing. That's a thing that's happening for me right now, is that I have no idea when I'm going to be continuing this series because it's not out. But I will be pre-ordering the 3rd book whenever that is available to be pre-ordered. And I adore this world. I adore this Yale that is magical and dark. This book is dark. Ninth House was dark. This book was darker. I feel like that just added to the atmosphere. Absolutely excellent audiobook. I highly recommend the audiobook for this series. And I can't say enough about this book. I just adored it. And I wish I could discuss details, but I don't do spoiler vlogs. But honestly, I don't know that many people who've read this book, so I would love to discuss it with someone. So if you've read this book and want to discuss what I'm talking about, if you've somehow ascertained the moment that I'm speaking of with my veiled talking, please feel free because fantastic. Anyway, this is the end of the title chain episode 2. I will be continuing with episode 3, and that means in episode 3, we will be starting with the word bent. And frankly, I feel like to find a title with the word bent, I'm gonna need to read a KU romance. Like, I feel like the word bent just screams KU romance. Why? I don't know, maybe that's just where my twisted mind has gone, but that's where I think we're going to be going in the next vlog. However, if you have a book that you know of that starts with the word bent that you'd like me to read, please put it down in the comments and I may pick that one. You never know. I haven't picked the book yet. I have a couple in mind, but like I said, I'm open to suggestions. So we will be continuing this title chain series. And like I said, we'll see how far we can go. But bent is our next word. Hopefully the next vlog is a bit better with some better books. I didn't love the books in this vlog until this one where we had probably one of my best books of the year. So thankfully this was on this vlog. Where are we gonna go from here? Somewhere with the word bent, at least. That's all I know. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.